Hello, everyone. Those of you on the Zoom platform and the others following the Thai channel on social media, we have another exciting and new sessions with technology startups, deep tech startups. Aditya from Astrogate Labs, which is a space tech company, and uh, we also have another startup which is Factors.ai. Sri Krishna,
Hi.
a former Immobi alumni, part of Immobi Mafia. And we also have a third special guest, Sonal from 314 Capital. Moderating and hosting this discussion would be Vijita Shastri, Thai Bangalore's ED. And look forward to more engaging shares. If you have any questions, any inputs, feel free to type it in the chat window. And we'll also share some of the housekeeping rules in the chat window. Over to you, Vijita.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vinay. Looking forward to this conversation. So yes, so Shri, Aditya, and Sonal, really gratitude for joining in. And I'm sure we're going to have a very interesting conversation. So this is going to be very simple and not to make it complicated. This is a startup showcase and this is the 7th episode that we're doing, guys. So we have a whole bunch of founders, investors coming in. And this conversation is about insights for the audience, for the other startups, other investors also, that what's going on in your lives, in your companies and the ecosystem. Okay. So we keep it crisp and we'll try to make it as interesting and open as possible. So without further ado, Shri and Aditya, what I would like you guys to do first is take a couple of minutes each to quickly talk about yourselves and your startup. And maybe present 1-2 slides if you have to. Just adhere to not more than a couple of minutes. And then Sonal would love to have you talk about obviously about 314 and what you do there and what's going on with the ecosystem and investment community. So we'll start with that and then we'll move into the conversation. All right. So Shri, Adi, whoever wants to go first.
I think I'll start with it.
Yeah, please. Yeah, and if there's a bandwidth issue, go off video and just stick to the presentation. Okay, no problem.
No problem. Hi, everyone. Sri Krishna here from Factors.ai. First, I'll start with myself. I was born and brought up in Chennai and then college in Bangalore here at RV. And after that, I am in Calcutta. Post that, I had done a couple of banking stints, so got really sick and tired of banking and then moved into startup space. At that point in time, in 2013, there were a couple of startups which were very exciting in India, and Immobi was one of them, and I joined Immobi early. And worked through the ranks at Immobi. I was my last job at Immobi. I was heading their exchange, third-party exchange and device monetization and their agency business. Reporting to the CEO there, and then I thought like it's be a great thing to come out and start up with two other friends of mine. My co-founders, one co-founder Praveen is also an ex-Immobian. He was heading the data products at Immobi, and my other co-founder is Aravind, who was my classmate from college, but post that he was a engineer at Google, and then he had started up Chattimity. Chattimity got acquired by Freshworks, and then after a couple of years at Freshworks, all of us got together to build Factors.ai. If you look at Factors.ai, it's more like ThoughtSpot for marketers, where like search-driven, automated insights and analytics for marketers. That's what we do. Our ideal customer profile, how we focus is SaaS and other B2B enterprises at this point in time. And we are very early stage. We just very seed funded kind of mid last year, and we are in first 10 to 20 customers is where we are working with, and truly trying to build the product market fit and the thing. That's where we are. What Factors.ai does, once again, is like the key problem which is there is like one, data is exploding, which is now we have good data warehouses like Snowflake and others to store the data. But getting insights from the underlying data is becoming more and more difficult because there is so much of user journeys and multiple channels and website activity and then CRM activity as well. And marketing is influencing sales almost in almost all industries, and getting insights from the underlying data is becoming difficult. That's where you need a more of a ML driven search and ranking method of how you take insights out of the data. And that's what Factors.ai comes together. So in terms of comparison, we do benchmark ourselves with Adobe Analytics or a Google Analytics Enterprise, but with a very differentiated approach to marketing analytics. That's what we do. I'll just take a pause here, and of course, I can take you through the slides later. I'll let other people introduce themselves.
Yeah, thanks, Shri. Aditya, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Aditya Keda, co-founder of Astrogate Labs. We are a space tech startup. We have been operating from Bangalore since the last 3 years. My background is in mechanical engineering. I'm from IIT Guwahati. Then I did my master's from University of Minnesota before working at a startup called Team Indus for 3 years. So there I met my colleague and co-founder Nitish. Both of us started this company, Astrogate Labs. So what we are trying to solve the problem is of data communication problem. So right now, as the previous speaker mentioned, there is too much data being generated and not enough data that is being able to reach the correct audience. So what we are trying to solve that. So in the space sector, there is a huge increase in the number of satellites and the data that is being generated, especially by the Earth imaging satellites. And most of the data is being thrown out. So what we are trying to solve is uh, get the data from the satellite to the ground so that other people downstream can use it, analyze it, and send it to the required people. So we are doing that by the means of optical communication, which gives around 10x higher speed compared to the current RF communication. I'll go into the details later on, but that is it for my introduction.
Perfect, perfect. And also Aditya and Shri, you all can talk about funding. Are you looking for customers? All that. This is open, okay? You all for Facebook Live. Please reach out to the community. Take advantage of this platform that we're providing, okay? So just want to let you know that. Sonal, more about yourself, please. There should be a personal touch to the face behind all these investment funding guys, okay? And of course about 314 Capital. Please, over to you, Sonal.
Unmute. Sonal.
Hi, Vijay. Was
yes.
Unmute, I think.
Sonal, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hey, Vijay. It's not letting me unmute on my own. I'm not sure why that's the case, but maybe you'll have to make me host. But while we get that sorted out, I can give you a very short intro to 314 Capital, our journey over the last 5 years, and then talk about myself for a minute or so. So we're an early stage fund out of Bangalore in India. We started out in late 2015, early 2016. And the thinking behind setting 314 up was that through the journey of the partners and the entities behind 314, we had noticed that the India market is changing very, very quickly, and private investment and private enterprise is starting to evolve in the same direction other markets have. And it's the coming together of the internet, of education, of people's entrepreneurial instinct, and so on, and it's also being supported by capital. So that's the reason we got into this market, to say we also believe that in the India growth story, and that's the market that we're betting on. So we're a generalist firm, and the areas in the markets that we focus on broadly span the India market. So we've done a fair amount of work on direct-to-consumer services and goods, media and content, fintech and financial services, SaaS and enterprise automation, and lastly, deep tech. So across all of these areas, essentially, it's pretty much any investment or any business you can think of, you can classify into one of these segments. We think of these as a couple of and the sectors and the trends that we're focused on, they pretty much any investment you can think of, you could look at it from one or more of these lenses. So our intention, I think you'll also find the thinking resonating with various funds, but it's to also see where there are inflection points or changes in markets and opportunities to build large businesses that we have identified, and work with the right teams to get there. So a large part of our investments will happen in the India market, but we selectively work with companies that are based here but operating in global markets, or even have focuses on maybe the European markets or the US market in particular. So we're today at about 210 million in overall portfolio under management. Our most recent fund was a $100 million vehicle. And we have a fair number of investments now, which I was saying. We have over 70, and there are quite a few household names, including Licious, Bank Open, Better Place, Darwinbox, Jupiter, Bugworks, Pocket Aces, Begin, Your Story, Traction, and so on. So that's a bit about 314. Me personally, I'm a senior associate. I work on the investment side for 314. We're a small team, so in all of these areas that I just mentioned, I've done a fair amount of work to help us identify companies, help take companies from one end to the other, and also work with portfolio founders and their teams on helping these companies scale up. I've been here since 2017, and it's every day is like day one. It's there's a lot that that you come away learning from all the founders and entrepreneurs that you're working with.
Great. Thank you so much, Sonal. I think that is very crisply said. And yes, I have the privilege and honor of knowing quite a few of your colleagues.
Yeah.
Wonderful bunch of folks, and of course, Pranav and Siddharth are wonderful in terms of the way they communicate. The reports, I would like to urge the founders also, the reports and insights, blogs, etc. that 314 Capital brings out are really very, very good, really high class. So please take advantage of that. And now, Sonal, we'll be having the founders presenting, and you are most welcome to give your inputs, insights, and any questions also. Okay, so this is an informal roundtable for everyone. So please,
Sure.
Shri, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, I think I'll start with Factors.ai. So as I mentioned, Factors.ai is a marketing analytics platform, and more about the company. I and my co-founders left InMobi and our other organizations early last year to come out and start up. We raised our first seed round of just a little over $2 million in June. And then we started building our team and the same. So we are an 18-member team. We now have an office in HSR, also with open.
So Shri, your presentation is not looking too good. Huh? I'm not too sure why that is so. Can you just check why? It's looking blurred. Yeah. Now go down. Just go to the next. Yeah. This is better. This one is better. Yeah.
Okay. The first was meant to be blurry, so it's okay.
Okay. Sorry. I'm getting old.
Okay. This thing. So as a team, we are based out of HSR now. We are an 80-member team. Mostly 15 of us are engineers. Myself and my other co-founder and one more person are the only ones who don't code here. And what we are at the stage at which we are is like we have the alpha release of our product, and we are also working with certain amount of alpha customers, which is like the first 10 to 20 customers, predominantly in the SaaS space, and a few other high value B2C kind of customers. I'll also get back to you like why that is an ideal customer base for us and what we are working on. And what we are trying to do is get additional customers at this point in time, build the product, and also kind of get to the product market fit where, like, I think at 50 customers, we'd also know what are the kind of bugs in the product, what are the kind of features, additional features which are required in the product, what makes the product more sellable and better. And then we can iteratively build on to a more of a successive, repeatable sales motion is our plan currently. And that's a stage at which we are in. Our investors are Elevation Capital, which was earlier called Safe Partners, and Emergent Ventures, which is, these are the two institutions which backed us. Emergent is based out of SF and Elevation is based out of Bangalore as well. Alok Goyal was the partner who invested in us. And we also have a bunch of angels backing us as well, including the InMobi founders, Naveen Tiwari and others, Girish Mathrubootham of Freshworks, Krishan Rajaraman of ChargeBee, and Ramakant of LiveSpace and others as well. So that's the space, that's the setup at which we are in. In terms of, and one more thing, I talk a little fast, so if there is anything, if I'm incoherent or anything, please stop me. And also at any point in time, please be open to just question me on anything. If you find something which is any doubts or any clarifications, please go ahead and ask.
Just keep running through the thing, Shri. Just move. You're talking fast. You need to move the slides also. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember
sure.
that. So keep moving the.
I'll do that. So I mean, whatever I had told now are not in the slides. So I'll come to the slides and I'll just take it up. So the slides is more on the technology aspect of what we are doing. We are looking for more fresher engineers, 1 or 2 fresher engineers to be hired by June. So 0 to 2 years experience as well. So that I think hence I thought like the positioning on the tech side would be the more ideal thing. So fundamentally, what we are doing is marketing analytics for B2B enterprises. So the genesis of this is like my co-founder Arvind had worked at both IIS, Indian Institute of Science, and later at Google. He looked at large-scale analytics problems and event stream problems, and he was looking at a better way to actually go about analytics. Current set of how analytics works is like, let's say you have a tool like Amplitude or a Mixpanel or even a Google Analytics. They say like, okay, you bring together the data at your end, put it in a data warehouse. I'll get access to that data warehouse or the data lake which is there, and then I can give you tools to do any kind of analytics with specific queries on the underlying to the underlying data. So for example, it will give a campaign, or it can give a funnel analytics, or you can do campaign analytics, you can do user journey analytics or anything, but you need to write specific queries at each and every point in time. So there are two problems in this. One is data is there in multiple silos. So one is the channel data, which is like a Google data or a Facebook data or a generally or a LinkedIn data for the thing. Then the website activity data, which is there, and also the CRM data. You need to bring together all the data in one way. That's one part of what you need to do. Second is like, then you need to write specific queries. Let's say you're worried about, let's say your demand pipeline going down, or your number of MQLs or marketing qualified leads or sales qualified leads increasing or decreasing. You need to write specific queries. And for that specific queries, it depends upon a hero analyst in the team who would come out with like, okay, I have 10 hypotheses. Let me go and check out on each hypothesis, write queries for each of them, complex SQL queries, then get the data back and then figure out what is going right or what is going wrong. And it is a lot of grunt work, takes a lot of time and this thing. And Arvind's work was basically how to remove the grunt work and can we go on a goal-based analytics. How good it would be if you can just search on your end goal, just like how you would search on your Google search. And automatically we look at each and every user journey and pattern which affected that end goal and rank them in order of relevance, so that you don't need to do this hypothesis generation. It takes out the guesswork. It takes out the need for a highly trained and a smart hero analyst in this place to actually do the analysis. And the marketers can focus on more important things rather than worrying about actually hiring on the analytics side or having a kind of doing a lot of grunt work to do the analytics is what it is. So how we are structured is like data analytics are what we are is a system of record. It's like a lot of data which is present, but the way you understand metrics can be very clearly improved if you understand the underlying user journeys. And marketing data is fundamentally as user journey. For example, we have seen it in both in InMobi and in other places where like users would come on a, let's say an ad, it's a Google ad or a Facebook ad. Then eventually they'll come and land up on your website. On your website, they'll see about us, or they'll fill up a form, or they'll read a blog, which is there, another thing. Then after that, they might even come back the next day through organically, and then they will sign up a form. Then they'll talk to your salesperson and buy the product. This is the user journey, and understanding the user journey end to end would give a huge amount of benefits for any marketer to understand like where he needs to do the intervention. And if you see in marketing data, it's actually the whole funnel is actually extremely complex. There is so many things which happens. There's an email, whether you even go and sign up for any request, whether it's in a acco.com or if you do it in a, let's say in a flight network, or if you are going to even search for a fresh chat kind of this thing. There is so much of interventions and activities which keep happening. They'll keep sending you emails and other things. So understanding this activity is very, very important for marketers. And what we have seen, and as I was mentioning earlier, is current products are extremely good with dashboards. So you have business intelligence tools, and you have which can visualize whatever the data which is underneath if you write a specific query and show it. So, but getting insights out of the underlying data. So trying to understand whether it's like, what is the influence of my Google ads marketing over and above my Facebook ads marketing for this particular end goal. I have written a lot of content like blogs or even white papers. Do actually people care about it? Does it play any influential part in the user journey for it to convert or not? Is very difficult to get from the current set of products. And what we are doing is basically, in sense, to simplify the way the product works, is it's like funnel analytics on steroids. So we look at every single user journey, build decision trees, thousands of decision trees on the fly, and look at an entropy metric called information gain at each and every decision tree and rank them in order of relevance. So it's kind of Google search and ranking algorithms on your underlying event-based marketing data. That's what we do. And we look at weights at different points in time and rank the data. And this is fundamentally how we manage this thing. Why is it what we are doing is very, very difficult or kind of pretty hard? Why can't you do it in a normal analytics yourself? searching on any end goal and trying to figure out what are the factors which affect that end goal through a multiple sets of event journey is actually a combinatorially explosive problem. The tree just explodes out of the way. And for you to even write a very large query and get an answer will take 3 to 4 hours. Our algorithm basically makes it very simple by searching the data in a proper way and also using information gain to rank it clearly. And that's where our technology differentiation comes into place. And it manages the ranking, and within a matter of seconds, you'd be able to get like, okay, of all the things which matter to me, this is the key things which matter. And these are the things where you need to first look at to start making the decision. And that's how we manage the explosion of the number of trees and the iterations. And more importantly, are there any other similar products which do in the market? I mean, we compete with a Mixpanel or an Amplitude or a Google Analytics or a Visible. There are similar products. Automated insights and search-driven insights on the underlying data is pioneered by a few other companies like ThoughtSpot, which is a multi-billion-dollar company going for an IPO soon, and also Sisu.ai, which is a Stanford-based startup. But they're all very recent startups. And one thing is they are more horizontally based. What we are is very focused on marketing. The reason why we are focused on marketing is, one, marketing itself is a very large kind of a vertical on its own. There's huge amount of money which goes into it. More importantly, when you attack this problem on a vertical specific, we can act, apart from correlation, we can also add an element of causality into the way how we are actually approaching the whole problem. So that way we have very clear marketing context. We are built for marketers, and marketers are generally one of the last people who get access to a good amount of technical resources or even data analysts and data science efforts within the company. And for them, this product makes a lot of sense. And that's where we are focusing on and building on. The same algorithm can also be applied to a product analytics or a churn analytics kind of use case, but we are focusing very clearly on marketing, and that's what we are building. Why is our ideal customer persona within this is SaaS companies and high value B2C. So SaaS companies are like, any case, the reason why SaaS companies is they have a very involved user journey. The spending is on multiple channels. There's a lot of content which is there on the website, like blogs, chatbots, there is customer case studies, there is white papers, and then there is a CRM element also because there is an SDR who's needed to close the deal. Similarly, we also work with high value B2C, something like Ether Energy, something like real estate firms like LiveSpace or Design Cafe or Total Enrollment, and all, which also have a very involved user journey, and then a conversion which takes over a period of 60 to 90 days and other those things. And these are the companies which, one, have very large sales items also. At the same time, they also spend significantly on digital marketing. The macros, from reiterating that why it helps our product, is like, one, we have consistently seen digital marketing expanding, and digital marketing is creating a huge amount of revenue impact as well. So earlier marketing used to be more on content or branding or just very simply just marketing qualified leads. Now marketers are evaluated on the sales pipeline and sales they generate. And more importantly, the other part is the amount of data which gets generated is becoming humongous, which needs ML driven and AI powered ways of actually trying to solve the problem in terms of insights so that you reduce the grunt work for people. And that's where we come in. That's in essence is what we do as a product. We are working with early ChargeBee, Izu2, Hippo Video, Flatfile, some like Ether Energy and Doshi Housing, Space and Design Cafe as well. We are trying to add more customers and at least at the very limited, at least talk to a few more partners. Anyone who's here in the call who have worked with marketers or are marketers in similar companies, have worked with HubSpot Analytics or GA Enterprise Edition Analytics or a Mixpanel for marketing, we would be really, really happy to showcase your product to you and take your feedback as well. So we are in pretty early stages and that would really help. And also more than happy to take any questions or feedback on this regard.
So Shri, couple of quick things.
Yeah.
They want you to talk about very quickly bullet points, the 3 challenges that you're facing, number 1. And when you're hiring people, you can clarify on the chat as to what kind of people you're looking for, more specific, okay? One is talk about the 3 startup challenge, whatever challenges you're facing, talk about it right now.
Okay, the startup challenge is primarily, it's more than 3 challenges. I'll just keep it in one thing, right? First, it's business. First is business. So early customers are very difficult to get, especially the ideal customer persona and paying customers, because anyone trusting a younger startup and then moving away from their existing stack and then bringing us in, that's always difficult. That's a huge challenge which we face. We are trying multiple forms, whether it's cold emailing, referrals, people known people giving us a chance to check us out, freemium products and other things. And both in terms of pricing and getting to the earlier customer, it's very difficult. And also that way, it also validates our product to the right market fit as well. And that's the largest challenge, which I feel, I think that would go on for the next 6 to 9 months for us. And very much there. Second is also in terms of the tech and product side, it's like there are a lot of things which keep coming. It's like when you get early feedback, everyone says, okay, this is a good feature, that's a good feature. When you do that, in terms of prioritizing and kind of triaging what we need to do so that it has the largest impact and saying no to a lot of things. That's more of a founder challenge with the thing, because you have limited number of engineering resources, you have limited amount of financial resources, and you have a limited amount of time also in terms of what you need to do, how it impact. And you also have always a worry of opportunity cost. Okay, I said no to someone else. Okay, is it going to come and bite me back in a different way and other this thing? So that's the largest challenge which I feel as a founder and this thing, and I'm trying to get over it and this thing. The other product in terms of the hiring needs, we'll be putting up the basic JD on LinkedIn, our LinkedIn page as well. Please watch our LinkedIn page. We are looking for freshers. The basics team, which is more of 4 to 5 years experience we have set up. We are looking for freshers, one in engineering, second is in data science, and 0 to 2 years experience is the kind of people which we are looking at. And 1 to 2 people is what we'd be looking to hire. And by June is what the time frame. So I hope that clarifies on this thing. So anyone with BTech, IT or computer science and from colleges, either from around Bangalore or Chennai or elsewhere around, it's more than great too.
Okay, perfect. Shri, so what I'll do now is, if Sonal, you want to have something to share right now, or would you like to wait for Aditya? I leave that choice to you. What do you want to do?
I'm done with my presentation as such. And I'm more than open for questions as such, but yeah, I think Aditya should take the stake, given that we are already at 5 o'clock. So the rest of half an hour.
All right. Okay, done. So we'll do it that way. Then Aditya, would you like to start off that, or Sonal, would you have something very quick to share, or do you want Aditya to talk? What do you want to do?
I don't have anything as a presentation, and I give you the intro, so I'm more than happy to take questions, but I think Aditya should go first.
Okay, perfect.
And then we'll leave more time for questions.
Sonal, anything that you want to tell Shri, any input for Shri, or should we just ask Aditya to present now?
No, with what Shri, obviously we haven't talked before, but from what I've seen, it looks like a very interesting take on that problem. So I'm sure there are portfolio companies at our end that might benefit. So I'll be sure to figure out how to make that introduction happen. And I look forward to talking to Shri more offline.
Awesome. That's very kind, Sonal. So some business will come onto your table, Shri. Awesome stuff. That's what matters today, isn't it? Great. Thanks, Sonal, for that. And Aditya, would you like to go ahead now?
Yeah, sure. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, please. And yeah. Yeah, we can see your screen, but just go full scale, just go full on and then start off.
Are you able to see the screen?
We can see, just go to view and make it full screen and then start, Aditya. We can see your screen.
Hello?
Yeah, we can see your screen, Aditya.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Sure, okay. Yeah, it's full.
It's all good. So you can present.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, okay. So I'm Aditya, founder of Astrogate Labs.
So Aditya, go off video. I think you have a network issue. Okay.
So we are space startup.
I think he's gone offline. Huh? I think he has the usual story of life. We have connectivity issues, so no problem. So let's keep this conversation going on till he comes back. All right.
Sure.
Shri, also pay attention to the questions on the chat.
I'm seeing them. I'm looking at the chat.
Aditya, you had a network issue. Can I suggest you one thing? You just present.
Yeah.
Let's just keep the queue going on. Watch me. Okay. So I'll tell you this or not. So start presentation.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Don't worry, man. These things happen.
Yeah. I'm just opening up.
Yes. Go full screen.
So is it full screen now?
You can start talking now.
Yeah, okay. So when we started the company, we looked at the current technology that was available in the space sector, space communication sector. And what we realized was this, that there is going to be a huge increase in the number of satellites that are going to be launched in the coming decade. So we, based on the market research study that we undertook, there is expected to be around 7,000 small satellites to be launched by 2027. So this is more than 6 times the small satellites that have been launched in the previous decade. And also with the improvement in the sensors technology, the amount of data that is being generated is increasing. So that currently cannot be handled by the RF ground network that is in place in right now. So the data that is being generated right now, almost 90% of the data is being thrown out as suggested by Planet Labs. And also the currently what technology that is used is RF technology. So it basically is a very small, has a small spectrum, which is divided into for military, for communication and so on. So you are supposed to take licensing to operate in the spectrum. So this itself costs like time and effort. So you have to apply to FCC like a year before to get the spectrum licensing. And also it costs a huge amount of money, around approximately 1050K of money. So, and also there is upcoming trend of constellations that are coming up. I think all of you are familiar with Starlink satellites that are coming up. So for constellations especially, optical communication makes much more sense since the pattern of the constellations are known and it is easy, it puts less effort on the optical communication steering mechanism so that it is easier to do communication through optical communication. So based on all this, we have come up with our own technology called optical communication, where we send data through lasers basically. Till now, everything has data transport is being done by RF communication. Now, what we are trying to do is through lasers. So, our first product is called Astrolink, which is a space to ground terminal and sends data up to speed of up to 1 gigabits per second. And our ground station product side of the product is called AstroBeam, which is nothing but a very low cost telescope and can receive the signals from the sky. Later on, we also want to venture into transceiver, which is nothing but AstroHub. So it includes both the transmitter and receiver, which will be ideal solution for constellations. Okay, so this is our first product that we have developed. This is in 0.8U size, so very, very small, 95 by 95 in length and breadth, and around 80 mm in height. And this is AstroBeam, which is our telescope that will act as the receiver on the ground. This Astrolink product is ideal for small satellites, especially 3U satellites and 6U satellites. And it is very, very competitively priced with the RF solution that is out there. And also you have the additional option of integrating S-band to do telemetry and telecommand. So this is our product here again. So this can offer up to 1 gigabits of speed from satellite to ground. And this can go in a 3U satellite. And it has a pointing capability of 1.2. It can handle basically 1.2 degree of satellite bus error. So the main thing I forgot to tell was, since optical communication band is very narrow, the beam, the terminal needs to look exactly at the receiver. So it should be within, say, 1 millidegree. So precise pointing is required. So the main challenge till now for optical communication not being taken up was that the satellite bus pointing error was very large. So right now it is currently around 1.2 degree. So our terminal can handle that and still do the optical communication beam. And also we have set up a deal with Momentus, and we are planning to launch this in coming December 2021 along with SpaceX. So these are some of the pictures you're seeing here. This is a first prototype which underwent the vibration testing. And these are some of the images you see where our terminal was flying on a UAV and there was a stationary ground setup, and we were managed to set up a link between those two. So this is our team, myself, Aditya, and my co-founder, Nitish. He has background in mission operations and mission planning, and my background is in thermal design and engineering. We have a strong team of 12 people with individual backgrounds in control systems, structures, optics, electronics, and so on. We also have a couple of mentors who are assisting us in this journey. We started around September 2017, so it's been more than three years now. So we have been recognized by with few awards and prizes. So the first one was we got awarded by Indian Innovation Growth Program, which is an initiative of Department of Science and Technology, and we also were incubated at Australia at a Venture Catalyst Space Program. This is a program by University of South Australia, Adelaide. That is how we got into touch with the Australian space industry, and we are actually setting up our first ground station in South Australia for the technology demonstrator that is happening in December 2021. So these are some of the capabilities that we have developed till now. So as I told earlier, the optical communication requires a very high precise pointing. So we have developed those technologies ourselves. So what we have done is we have imported the fine steering mirrors that we have but we have built the technology stack around it ourselves, the electronics, the control systems, and everything around it. And we have also developed the structures and the optical design also in-house, and we have qualified it. And we are also beginning the process of developing our own small satellites as well. Those are in the earlier stage, but we hope to make a significant development in the coming years. So as I told, we are launching our first technology demonstrator in December 2021. So we are partnering with a company called Momentus. It is also a startup which recently is going to IPO. Basically, it's a in-space transportation. It's a third-party transportation which is coordinating with SpaceX, which will be our launch services. And we are coordinating with University of Tasmania in Australia, South Australia, to host our optical ground station. So we are based out of Sakarnagar near Hebbal in Bangalore. And we also have a small office in Australia as part of the incubation center that we were hosted. That's in South Australia, Adelaide. So that's a very brief overview of what we are trying to do. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take. And we're also looking for, always looking for bright people to join us. Currently, we're looking for a control system engineer as well as electronics engineer. Anybody interested can mail in their resume at info@astrogatelabs.com. Thank you.
Perfect, Aditya. I want to make a couple of quick comments. I don't know what magic you did to change your internet connectivity. Every audio visual was superb, clear, and brilliant. Thank you very much. Number one. Number two, you have to talk about the 3 challenges that you're facing. Okay. And I'm not too sure whether you covered about funding and other things. Whether are you looking for investment, etc. You didn't cover that, I think. So just quickly focus on these few things. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. So thankfully, we just because of the pandemic last year, we had a delay in funding. But thankfully, everything got sorted out, and we closed the round just in October with Specially Invest as our main investment firm. So we are sorted for this year, but we are actually looking for the next round starting mid of this year. Regarding challenges, there are plenty of challenges as previously told. The main challenge is this is a very niche market, and space technology, building space technology is very hard as such, mainly because of the qualification involved and so on. The main challenge right now we are facing is to send the payload. We are also integrating the whole satellite as well. To send the satellite, we need to register the satellite, get insurance, and so on. So we are trying to work through those paperwork and so on, because we are trying to still figure out whether we can register a satellite through India as a private company, or should we take it outside India and so on. So those challenges still remain. We are not still sure how to handle that. I think that is the one key challenge that I would like to present to you in front of you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Aditya.
Yes.
And now, Sonal, if you'd like to unmute yourself as well, what is your inputs for both of them? See, okay, I just want to say one thing, right? One thing that we have promised ourselves, and this is important. We'll never say that time is up and in the interest of time, please shut up. We'll never do that, because that's why, we want to bring people together. So it's absolutely no problem. So, you can have a conversation. Sonal, you have some inputs about the presentation. They're looking for people, they're looking for funding, they're looking for more customers. I think these are the three things that people are always doing. And also, I would always, and Sonal, like, see, you have 70 companies, right? You obviously get a lot of inputs and questions from them. So maybe some of the, what is happening in the last 6 months, share with both Shri and Aditya. And also, what about PR, marketing and branding? We as Indian founders and ecosystem should not ignore that. So this is my take, but now it is up to you three folks to continue the conversation, please.
Right. So Aditya and I, we've met before. We've had conversations, and I'm very happy to see the progress they've made, and it's great to see that there's going to be a demonstration towards the end of the year. I think we last spoke formally for the investment in 2019, and at that point the milestone was 2 years out, but I'm glad it's almost here, and hopefully they're able to successfully demonstrate. I think with the deep tech in particular, that's a very interesting segment even for us. We have a couple of successes in that segment, but it's also one where the IP is extremely valuable, and the stories are extremely rich as well. So that's as an engineer, it's one of the areas that I'm particularly passionate about, and I drive at 314. So I look forward to catching up with Aditya later in the year when they're having conversations, and I also know the team at Special, and I'm sure they're in great hands. And as far as Factors is concerned, again, like I said earlier, the problem statement on the MarTech side is sort of, if you can imagine, there's almost no end to innovation on the MarTech side, because everyone's trying to optimize that last decimal point of value that they can get, either in terms of lead gen or in terms of conversion or funnel optimization. And so we'll never see an end to that. And I think what Factors is trying to do brings all of that together in a very nice fashion. Obviously, I've not tried the product out, but the intuition behind it, it sounded quite refreshing versus a traditional dashboard or a BI tool. So those are my initial takes, and I'm happy to take any specific questions that are useful to the panel or to the audience at large.
Great, Sonal. And for Shri and Aditya, okay, see, I just want to understand about your sales part of it. See, ultimately funding, let's leave it aside. You need more customers. I think both of you have said that. And also you're talking about, finding bright people whom you can work with, because without people, you can't really expand. So how are you addressing this problem? And from the community point of view, we want to do more for you. So I'm giving this open offer to both of you guys, and even Sonal, even for you. I mean, I know that 314 does a lot of research, and you all have your own very popular blog. But through Vinay, we can publish something from you folks on TIE, and then we spread it out and help to market it. Anything that you need about your company or what kind of people you're looking for, open for that. Okay. But coming to sales, let's talk about that with the current situation. And Sonal, you can also pitch in. Maybe you have got some inputs from your other founders who face the same thing about getting more customers. How are you guys going about it, and what can we do to help you? Okay, keep it crisp and neat, and let's go for it.
So I'll just take a take on it. Currently at sales, even the initial customers which we got in and our paying customers and others, it's like it was pretty simple. We looked through from our own network, both the InMobi, Mafia, and so many other partners which we have worked with, our Angels reference and other thing to get through the initial set of customers. We are still trying to tap into that thing. So you get one customer, you get a good name, and then you ask them to get through the other this thing, because the stage at which the company cycle is like, we need a very strong feedback loop. That is, we need patient customers who would be able to willing to take your product, give time for it, and then they'll say, okay, this thing is good, but when you solve for these things, then it makes a lot of sense. And then it goes back to the drawing board, and then we go back to that, push it back again, and then we see the whole this thing. One other thing which we are trying to figure out is like, of course, cold founder-led emails and email-based strategies, especially for international customers and other things, because the larger paying customers generally come from other large enterprise clients. It's not that sometimes. One other thing which we learned is like, traditionally VCs do also, and we also very strongly believed in a couple of years back, it's compared to Indian customers, the international customers pay 5x or 10x and don't even be the ideal customer. Any feedback from any Indian customer wouldn't actually matter. But what we are seeing currently is quite a few lot of Indian customers are one, very clearly advanced in the way how they give feedback, and also the kind of other tools they use. So their feedback and bringing them as initial customers also works as a kind of a mirroring to other international customers when you want to go for a repeatable sales motion internationally as well. So that's great. And on the same lines, we want to get as many more good Indian customers as well into the table. Third thing which we also discovering, and as we go through, is like, there should be an initial good strong entry product, which can be something like a feeder product or something where like a lot of people sign up and then start using it, and then you start creating value barriers within that product itself, so that you can move the people up the tire in terms of pricing. HubSpot does a great job out of it. First, they have a free plan at $0, then $50, and then their enterprise plan is at $3,000 to $5,000 a month. So you see the difference from $0 or $50 to $5,000, but the fundamental thing is like, how do you get the funnel working in and other this thing? And also a lot of other people have cracked around something around like a Slack marketplace, a Shopify marketplace, a HubSpot marketplace to actually build products around that and then building. And we are exploring that. That's what we are doing on the sales front. In terms of hiring, our first initial 4 to 5 engineers, we went through agency like Top Hire and others to get through the first initial 4 to 5 engineers, because we wanted some good front-end engineers and then 1 or 2 back-end engineers to make it work. And also within a time span of 1 to 2 months to make it work. Post that, it was more referrals. Thanks to our network, both from InMobi and Freshworks, we were able to get through some candidates. And it was all, the main challenge, unfortunately, through COVID was like, most of the hiring was done remotely and the thing. So having companies where you have worked together and then going remote is totally different from pitching to someone saying that, okay, can come and join me from a remote way itself, and then making that work. So that was the challenge. But thankfully, everything is opening up. And we also did an internal poll both in September and December. And a lot of employees wanted to get back to office also in some form. And we just set up a 20-seater office in HSR. It's a nice, cozy place. And if anyone wants to, they can also please drop by. We are in the old Extra 10X office in the 22nd Cross at HSR, opposite to GKV. So more than happy to host you guys for a coffee.
Thank you, Shri. That's very kind. And yes, remote sales, remote hiring is a problem. Sonal, how are your companies facing up to these challenges?
I think the obvious, if you look back, maybe back in March, everyone had a tough time because no one knew exactly what to expect. So they had to prepare for the worst, right? And that's what we also worked with our companies to set the tone, but also set the expectations. Whatever drastic step had to be taken, it had to be done quickly. So we sensitized founders and the boards to that. And then by April, we had a plan. So every company had visibility on a 24-month runway to make sure that if things were really bad and this whole spell lasted even 24 months, companies could be able to see it through. Fortunately, we haven't had anything very upsetting from a portfolio point of view. In fact, a lot of our companies have gone on to do quite well, and it's a testament to the kind of recovery we've had over the last year. And neither could we have foreseen the entire lockdown and everything turning off, or in the other direction, everything opening up. So that was fortunate, and I think a lot of the things that we had in the back pocket as last-ditch attempts, we didn't really have to come to. Companies continue to work remotely, and it's important to give employees as much clarity on what the next couple of months look like also. So now everyone's going back, talking to their employees, figuring out when is the right time to open up, and people are testing. Smaller teams are able to do it much faster than others, but towards the mid of this year is when we probably expect everyone to go back to some sort of in-person interaction full-fledged. A lot of the team is now distributed. Even at our end, we just have everyone coming back to the office over the next couple of weeks and months, and there's no pressure on anyone. I think that's the same sort of process every other company has taken. So that and that's somewhat consistent. Going back to Shree's point on last year in sales, the one thing that I wanted to say was the early days are obviously tough. So that it does help that you come from a specific domain and you understand that problem well enough, so you know who exactly you're talking to, and that's the very least that you can expect, right? And same thing if you take Aditya and Astrogate's example. Potential customers is a very small sample set, so at least you know who you're dealing with and what you're selling them. So as long as the POC or the implementation can be proven, you have just that much is enough to turn that into a sale. So depending on which business you're in, the yardstick or the approach varies, but I think more important is knowing who you're selling to, and knowing who you're not selling to, and that's something that applies in every sales instance. So as long as that clarity exists, you know what product you're building, how you intend to price it, what value you're delivering to the other side, everything else will line up accordingly.
Yeah, makes sense. It's like to pre-quote Krish of ChargeBee, like when you publish content and both the pricing, it should be very, very relevant and immediately be acceptable for the 1 or 2% of people who will be your prospective buyers.
Yeah.
And the remaining 98% should actually see it and move away, because they don't sign up a form and then end up being a headache for your SDR and other things. So.
Oh my God, Shri, you just called it out.
I mean, so the ideal customer profile and other things should be very specific. When people who are in the ideal customer, when they see it, yeah, they want to get it. They see the value in the product and it's easier integration. It's good, less time load for either side. When people who are not in the ideal customer, when they see it and this thing, they should be able to bounce off and move somewhere else, because that's where it would also help save their time. Because getting in sales, it's like a great customer, getting them, it's always very expensive, but getting a wrong customer or a non-proper process actually costs you a lot more.
Yeah. And
That's
you're
true.
a small team, yeah. Your bandwidth should not get crushed.
Yeah.
So, okay, one more question I have for all three of you, right? What is the role of customer testimonials, right? How do you get it? How do you make sure that you don't abuse the relationship? Okay, so what do you guys think about that?
So for me, I'll just take a stab at it before Aditya and others. So I'm just always putting my hand up here. Talk first. I mean, the first 10 to 20 customers are kind of friends, right? Rather than actually customers, because they bet on you before what we call as either design partners or even partners who are just starting to work with you, start sending you data for you to check out each and everything. And even be kind of, when your data is also wrong, they take time out to actually point out where it is. So that's a very kind of cherished relationship which you maintain with them. And once the product actually starts getting value for them, that is, you even quote them as a customer only when you know very clearly that product is to actually start giving you value for them. They are using it at least a couple of times a week, and then or month or depending on your product kind of other thing, and they are able to take value. And then that's the time when you approach them for a customer testimonial and other thing. And you get the testimonial, and you also find different ways to amplify that kind of testimonial, because once a customer says, and you know that they are in the ideal customer profile, and they provide you saying that, okay, this is something which is very good, and this is something which is good, both a kind of a video testimonial or a kind of a podcast, getting generation of blogs around that, and also referrals around that and other thing, and you spread to similar companies and other thing, and they see the value, and then comes in the kind of contract. And you also make sure that the client also sees the value very, very clearly. What you mention in your testimonial is more the truth, and it's not exaggeration beyond the truth in any form. Another the thing, and they are able to attract to it, because what would happen is you would find a internal champion within the company, and he'll be able to give you a very good testimonial, and he won't also ignore something, but it should also resonate with, let's say, the CEO in the company or anyone else in the company, because it shouldn't be like, okay, I'm quoting their name and the company brand name or something, and internally the company feels that, okay, whatever that is there from the product is actually not worth it enough, and somehow they managed to get a testimonial and they just try to make it work or use it as a marketing ploy around it. That shouldn't be the feeling, and that's the fundamental approach across the board, both at InMobi or at any other even Freshworks and other organizations which you work. But as you get more and more customers, it just expands. It's not just a testimonial, it's not just a case study, it's not just a podcast, it's not just a marketing blog, it's not this thing. Then you evolve into more things, webinars, you invite people into more this thing, you make them part of events, so get through other guys to talk about you and then amplify it and then run campaigns around it. So even how companies is like, when you run a customer case study, when you upload a webinar and this thing, you should also in parallel run a Google search campaign and LinkedIn campaign or a Facebook campaign, or depending on your category and other things, to amplify those kind of tools. And you're also able to generate a momentum and a community around it. And that's where I think it will be a greater.
Awesome, man. This guy is a pure sales guy and marketing imports. He's given us a full roadmap. I just hope everyone is listening into what he has said. He has taken it from the pyramid. He has built it. It's brilliantly. I'm going to catch you, man. We're going to do a sales session very soon one day. Okay. That's great. Aditya, we don't want you to be quiet. Okay. Come on.
Yeah. So actually, we are still in the early part of the sales customer acquisition. Actually, we are mainly focusing on developing the product as such. And right now, our flight terminal is more or less ready and qualified. So it will go for, we need to send it to the Momentous by mid of this year. So, but parallelly, what we are trying to do is we are in touch with the prospective customers, and we are trying to give like a 6 monthly feedback sort of based on a one-on-one call. Because as you know, space is very niche and everyone knows one another. And if you talk to somebody and if you're, conveying the news, they'll be able to market themselves and say, you may have some other who may be more likely interested in you rather than us, and so on. So that way, word of mouth, we have got a lot of interest, even from Indian Defense as well. So we are just in the early stages of talking, and hopefully once this launch materializes, things should be faster and more focused. That's what we think.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much, Aditya. Sonal, anything that you have been advising your folks or working with them on, just sales, marketing, campaigns, getting more customers? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, I think it's been summed up already. But even as 314, right, the testimonial is essentially a way to tell someone who is a peer what to expect from someone else, right? So for us, it would be a founder testimonial is a way for other founders to figure out what to make of this entity, which is a firm or a VC firm. And I think the way people are, and if you look at how from maybe a social science point of view, everyone's looking for validation on who they're talking to, and looking for people that they look up to give you the sort of signal that these are the right people to work with. So that's essentially what a testimonial is useful for, and I think it lends it's the same use case. So the ideally you would want to get the kind of logos that others look up to and are people well recognize, or the kind of people that you look up to and recognize as people that are can be fairly selective and choose well, and that means you might as well work with that entity. So that's a little bit on how to think about who to get a testimonial from, and what type of audience this will work best on also. And I think for the portfolio, like I said, because the portfolio is so broad, we have businesses that are consumer facing, we have others that are doing some deep tech work, we have others that are in enterprise sales. There's a lot of ground to cover, and the approach would vary in each instance. but broadly, I'm just going to go back to what I said previously. Knowing who you're selling to and what you're selling to them is a way to align on everything that happens downstream. There's no magic bullet, of course. For each of these segments, you'll have to figure out what is that one thing that you have to do uniquely to make it work for your specific case, and where are your strengths. But what you can control is knowing when to double down and when not to.
Perfect. Thanks, Sonal. I'm just, the few notes that I take out from this is the logos and people that they look up to. Those are the kind of stuff that you also want to have out there, so that the trust factor is built up. I think that was very nicely done. And the signal that, okay, these are the right people to work with. That is something that you have to build up to get your customers. Awesome. Beautifully said. Nice choice of words, Sonal. Thank you so much for that. It is 5:35, right? So I know that you guys have your other conversations and work to be done. So to sum it up, what I would also like, one last question, and just keep it as brief as possible, is productivity tools. In today's world of pressure and sales and managing teams, etc., for the audience, other founders, for the other people out there, quick take of 2-3 productivity tools that you guys use. Keep it as crisp as possible so that we can close the sessions as well. All right, please go ahead.
We use Slack internally, Notion and Airtable for our thing. All of them are, Airtable is like Excel on steroids. Notion is very, very good. It's a free plan and everyone can try it. Slack is also great at internal communication, and it also keeps off a lot of history and other thing, and it works well. And within Slack itself, there's a Slack marketplace with a lot of Slack bots for general activities, quizzes, trivia, engagement, so that to keep the team engaged as well, that's also there. So that's what we do currently. Most of the other things, instead of using more tools or this thing, a lot of one thing that helps is keeping the phone away on charge for a long time so that you can focus on other things. So that's what we do. But that's all from my side.
Nice one. Thanks, Suri. Aditya, would you like to?
Yeah, we are actually a very small team. So I personally prefer to chat them up face to face rather than use any tool. So you mainly use Slack or email for exchange of files and so on. And personally, I basically don't have any social media apps on my phone, and rather have a goal dictate your usage of technology rather than the other way around. So that's how I try to do it.
Very nice report.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice one.
I think that works well, right? Those apps that turn off a website, or you get Chrome extensions that do that for you, or on Android you can decide how much time you want to spend on an app, and then it cuts you off for the day. And in addition to that, if you're disconnected, you put your phone away. That's how you get most work done, and that's also true for me. The other productivity tool is just coming in early to the office and getting your work done before all the noise and all the emails and everyone else is around you. And that's something that I found works well for me. From a product point of view, our stack is fairly heavily built on top of Airtable and Notion. So those are the ones that I recommend.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much, guys. We can talk a lot, but I think in the interest of time, though I should not be saying too much of that, but thank you so much for all this contribution. I just hope that the conversation and things can keep continuing. Sonal, you must stay in touch. Of course, Aditya and Shri, but stay in touch with them. And if there's anything that we can also do from our side, or you folks would love to do this.
Yeah.
And just to give a gist to everyone and to you folks as well. See, we're doing the startup showcases. Sonal would love to have introductions. Any startup founder wants to come who's got some sales and traction, okay? And as a team, we want to showcase them. We have been bringing other investors also. We have got Ragini from Caspian Tech before. By the way, special investor Arjun was there last week as well. And we're trying to do as much as we can for the community. This is the promise that we want to live up to. And there's a nice session that we're having from Veda from Razorpay for business owners on digital marketing. So he's the guy who does it for SMBs and everything. You guys can join in on 19th. It will be, of course, on Facebook Live. We put out the recordings because we want everyone to benefit. But thank you. Let's build the community. Let's build the ecosystem. Let's see lots of successes. And Sonal, 70 startups that you have invested in, hope many of them grow to be unicorns, sonicorns, and much, much bigger than we can all imagine. So, and best wishes, Shri and Aditya as well. Thank you so much, guys. This has been wonderful.
Thanks for hosting us, and thanks for hosting.
Thanks for all the work that Ty does, Vijay.